Remember the movie of Shahid Kapoor, Batti Gul, Meter Chalu, Lights Off, Meter On, which dealt with the issue of inflated electricity bill? Well, the woes still remain. On the one hand are the customers who are dealing with his or her electricity bill. On the other hand are the ailing state distribution companies or DISCOMs. The government is making attempts. In the latest episode of Energonomics, we try to figure out why reforms are not working. DISCOMs are responsible for supplying electricity to the customer. They buy electricity from the generators and supply it to the customers. But this is where the tug of war happens between the center and the states. Even while reforms are taking place, a reason for DISCOM's financial health has been this tug of war. The Union Power Ministry recently came out with certain rules. The ministry has put in place measures streamlining the process of accounting and auditing. It has come out with rules for reporting, billing, subsidies being paid by the states to the DISCOMs. As Ashok Khurana, Director General, Association of Power Producers, puts it, earlier there was no legal sanctity to aggregate technical and commercial reduction trajectory agreed to by the DISCOMs in any national scheme or program. Therefore, these remain only as intent with no enforcing mechanism. These new rules provide legal backing to the agreed trajectory and put the onus on state electricity regulatory commissions or SERCs to ensure compliance. And in case of non adherence, punitive action too has been provided, he said. Khurana also said that there are rules in place to ensure the payment of subsidy as assured at the time of tariff finalization. This, he said, will help in bringing sustainability in the DISCOMs. What are these new rules? I asked Vikram V of ICRA, and this is what he said.
So essentially, most state governments provide tariffs at a discounted rate to some segments of the consumers, mainly agriculture and some sections of the domestic consumers. And when the regulators approve the tariff, they consider the subsidy and approve a discounted or a subsidized tariff to the consumers. So ideally, the state should pay this tax on advance basis based on the expected consumption from each of these consumer segments. What these rules are saying that the DISCOMs should submit a report within or 30 days from the closure of the quarter on the subsidy accounting in terms of how much subsidy have they billed, what is the consumption by these section of consumers where subsidy is provided, and how much is the subsidy paid by the state governments. This report is to be submitted to the state commission, which will scrutinize it and which will publish it. This is essentially to bring in transparency in this subsidy accounting mechanism, wherein how much are you actually billing, how much are you actually receiving, and are you billing in line with whatever is the consumption of the subsidized consumers. So all of these things are brought out in the public in a very transparent manner, and everybody has an accounting of is the state actually paying the subsidy, whatever they are budgeting for in terms of the tariff that is given to these consumers, or is there any shortfall, and is it putting any stress on the DISCOMs because of lack of payment of these subsidies by the states. And if the state is not paying the subsidy in advance in line with whatever is being asked by the DISCOMs as per the consumption by this section of customers, then the regulator has the ability to charge the full tariff as approved in the tariff order to the consumer without considering subsidy. So that is the stake that one is using in these rules to bring in discipline in terms of the subsidy payments from the states to the DISCOMs.
The Power Ministry says that these rules have come in place in wake of creating or ensuring sustainability in the sector. The DISCOMs are under distress mostly because of improper accounting or delay or non-payment of subsidies by the states to these DISCOMs. What are the three important components of these rules? I ask Vikram.
The rules essentially say that a quarterly report shall be issued by the state commission for each of the distribution licenses in their jurisdiction, giving findings on what is the subsidy raised by this particular DISCOM in that quarter based on the energy consumed by the subsidized category of consumers, and then what is the actual payment of the subsidy by the government, and if there is any gap between what has been due and what has been paid. And then the DISCOM's report is scrutinized by the commission and it is published by the SERC of the particular state. And if the subsidy is not paid in advance, then the state commission shall have the right to issue an order for implementation of tariff without subsidy for those particular consumer categories in line with the provisions of the Electricity Act. In terms of the dispute reduction, I think essentially the issue comes in between the state and the DISCOM. The DISCOM, when claiming the subsidy at the beginning of the quarter, they'll say that this is the amount of consumption by these consumer categories. And in many cases, because the agriculture segment is not metered, there could be disputes between the DISCOM and the state in terms of what is the actual consumption by the particular consumer. Essentially, there the metering level infrastructure has to be improved to ensure full transparency on what is the actual consumption by this segment, and what is the subsidy required to be paid by the states. There it could bring in better transparency and improve the reliability of subsidy accounting going forward.
Experts say that these rules are in place to fill the gaps in annual revenue requirements filing by DISCOMs. I also ask Vikram, will public-private partnership work, or private sector involvement in the sector work? And this is what he said.
It's not just about privatization. I think it's about the discipline of the state government and state DISCOM. See, we have seen success of privatization mostly in the urban areas, urban pockets. I think full statewide privatization has only happened in Odisha. The first one was not so successful. Of late, I think Tata Power has taken over the DISCOMs there a couple of years back. They're improving, but we are yet to see successful examples of a large-scale privatization across a state. A lot of improvements on efficiency front can definitely be brought in by the privatization. But ultimately, if your tariffs are not increased in line with your cost structure and they're not passed on to the consumers in a timely manner or through additional subsidy from the state government, they are going to face challenges. Essentially, what we need is a discipline from the state governments as well as DISCOMs in ensuring that whatever subsidy is promised is made on time, in ensuring that whatever is the cost incurred is passed on to the consumers in a timely manner, and to ensure that the efficiencies are brought in line with what regulatory has approved.
While the intent is good, there is still 1% chance of states not following it. Remember, electricity is in the concurrent list, and the states also have an equal role to play. While this tug of war still continues, let us be optimistic. Let's hope for the best.